Hi all. In this tutorial video I will go through how to use chaos physics engine in Unreal Engine. And like always in my videos, also this time I will be using BIM model as a main ingredient for my tutorial. We will go through how to add chaos component to BIM objects, how to add external force for making chaos destruction, and last part we will add some interactivity to break the BIM objects. Starting point for this tutorial, I have created new game's first-person project and imported my IFC model with visual data prep to basic level, and I also added colliders to all BIM objects during the data prep. Okay, let's get started. First we need to change our mode from mode drop-down to fracture mode. First we will create geometry collections. So first select the object from viewport and then click new. I will create new folder here for my geometry collections. I will rename it geometry collections. And after that I just click create geometry collection from the selected mesh. Now it's done. Geometry collections are special assets for saving the simulation properties. Next we will fracture our element. There are several methods, fracture methods are available, and I will be using uniform method in my case. And I will be using default values here. So from here you can define how many pieces we will fracture our element. I click fracture and now it's fractured to two different levels. I click 2 times. Now we have 2 fracture levels. Let's see how it looks. Let's go back to selection mode. You can hide the fracture bone colors by going to details and setting the show bone colors to false. When we play the level, we can see the simulation in action and physics taken into use. Facade element collapsed to several pieces. Let's add more collections and see we will get more action in our level. So back to fracture mode, new geometry collection, and I will repeat exactly the same steps before. I will fracture these to 3 different levels. And the next one, first create geometry collection and then uniform fracture to 3 different levels. And back to selection mode. After that I will set the show bone colors to false. Let's try it now. Like you see, now there's a much more physics going on. Let's do the rest of the facade. Creating the geometry collections and then uniform fracture. 3 levels to all objects. And selection mode, show bone colors to false to the whole facade. Let's try it out. Now we should have some more damage. Yes, let's try to walk. And they should be, yes, there are colliders at the pieces also. When you repeat the simulation, you can see that it's always a little bit different. There are a lot of settings in fracturing mode under the uniform properties. There you can add noise and randomness to your simulations. You can also select geometry collection and go to details panels and modify these damage thresholds, which defines the force which will break the current level. So now I will set this a little bit lower, so now this panel should be breaking more easily. Like you see now, there will was much more busy. Okay, let's go to the second facade, and this time we will do the simulation a little bit different. We will use the physics fields. We will use anchor field to prevent the collapse, and we will also use the buster field as a source of external force. But first we need to repeat the steps which we learned earlier. So geometry collections and fracturing and show bone colors to hidden for the whole facade. And then I will move my player start to better place. So from now it's better to start my level from this position. I will rotate it also. For this facade we want to prevent this simulation happening when we start the level. And for that we will use the physics fields. You can find good samples from physics fields from the engine content. So I will go to content browser, settings, show engine content, and then I will try to find fs underscore anchor field. Okay, this one. So I will duplicate this one and I will move this to my under my own folder, under my levels folder. Move it here. It's good practice to not to modify engine content. It's better to make copies for them and use those copies. And then I can hide the engine content. After that, I can add anchor field to my level just by dragging it to viewport. And then I have to move it to the correct position. I need to move it at the top of the assets which I want to be anchored. So now I think it's good position. Now I need to resize it to overlap all elements from this facade, moving and resizing the anchor field to the correct position. After that I need to add this anchor field as an initialization field to all of my objects. So I select each panel object and go to initialization fields, add new field and select my anchor field as an initialization field for each of these panels in this facade. I will slightly resize my anchor field to be sure that objects are anchored correctly. Then I can try how the anchoring is working to play in the level. Yes, the anchoring is working and the pieces are not collapsing. After that we will add another physics fields. We will add master field component, and also this one can be found under the engine content. If I search fs underscore master, I can find this one, fs master field. So I duplicate it and move it to my levels folder to make a copy, and then I can drag it to level at the top of my facade. We can try it out by playing the level, and now we can see that there was some external force which caused the collapse. If you want to modify the master field blueprint, you can duplicate and make a copy of it, and then you can add it to the different part of the facade. And now we have two different. I will move this slightly to make it more anchoring. a little bit smaller, so I will get more collapse into my facade. Okay, let's try this one. Screen capture caused some delay effects here, so it was more realistic without screen capture. If you select the master field, you can see that there are tons of settings, and with the delay amount you can define how long it will before the force is taken into use, and under the apply linear and angular velocities you can define different kind of force vectors and amount of force. I will put some more force here, and also you can see the debug information if you are interested. Let's try to simulate it. Now there was a little bit more explosion going on because I added some force. I will also decrease the delay here, and I will move it slightly. Let's see if this has effect on simulation. Yes, now it was different. Okay, let's move to the third facade, and from here we will going to add some interactivity. But first steps will be the same that previous, so open the fracture mode, create the geometry collections, and do the uniform fracture 3 times for each of the objects and hide the bone colors. I will also move my player start to this position here, and next I will also need to set the initialization fields for these panels. Same steps that in previous facade anchor field. I will also set my level game mode back to PP first person game mode. And player start position, I will select it and I want to move it back to the floor. Then we will need a rifle to our first person, so I will go to content first person blueprints and I will drag PPP pickup rifle to viewport at the front of my player start. Okay, let's try if this is working. Yes, I got the rifle, yes I can shoot it, but something is still to be done. To be able to break the wall we need some force, so let's use the master field. So I just drag my master field to this level, and I will set the delay to 0. After that I will go to first person blueprints, and I want to modify PP first person projectile blueprint. And from here we want to change the hit event. So drag from here, and from here I want to spawn actor. From here, so spawn actor from class. And I want to spawn my master field class from here. So I jump on and I will select the master field which I just added to my viewport. I will split this and I will get the location from the hit location and add it here. And from here I want to add some delay. I will see the projectile after the hit, and then I want to destroy this actor. So now it hits something, it just spawned the master field. Let's try this one. How it's working. So I play the level and grab the rifle, and after that I will shoot my facade. Yes, the pause is working and I can't collapse my wall. Of course you can modify the master field if you want to add some extra pause, and you can also modify the geometry collection threshold values to make them collapse more easily. That was my video tutorial this time. We went through some basics of chaos simulation. Hopefully you learned something new, and hopefully you got inspired to try out chaos with your own IFC model. Thanks for watching this time, and remember to subscribe to see my future video tutorials. See you. Bye.